If you're confused about the emotional intro, allow me to quickly explain. You see, it's been 4 years since the RCZ was phased out, yet in my short time with it, I see it as one of the greatest sports coupes made in recent years. Through this video, I hope to share those experiences with you and show why the RCZ is a devastating loss. So let's start with the engine. 1.6 litre turbo, 198 horsepower, directed to the front wheels of the manual transmission. Now on paper that may not sound like a lot, but when you consider this car weighs under 1300 kilograms, it is more than enough, and it is so strong. And then there's the exhaust. I mean, have a listen to this. No fake pops or crackles, anything like that. Just a genuine, sonorous and brutal exhaust. And it becomes so addicting, you just want to rev it out and bang through gears all day. Just like you should in a sports coupe. Another thing I find quite fun about this car is just the way it delivers its power. I mean, it's more old school, and that means ultimately that there's more turbo lag. I mean, this is a car from 2011 after all. But I think that's more fun, to be honest, because it's like you're waiting for something drastic to happen. So, you know, you put your foot down, you wait a little bit, okay, now the car's kicking in. And then it just extends all the way out to the red line. In such an effortless fashion. But the engine's not the best thing about it. No, the best thing about this car is the chassis. I don't know what Peugeot's done, but they've just done wonders. It's just unbelievably planted. You know, you turn it into any corner and there's just no body roll whatsoever. I will admit though, as great as this car is to drive, I do have a few gripes with it. The first one being that, yes, the chassis is brilliant and there's no body roll whatsoever, but as a result, Peugeot has sort of compromised the ride quality of this thing, because if you drive over any sort of hump or bump or pothole, any undulation in the surface, you're going to break your spine. And the second thing I don't like is the feel of the clutch. The gear shift is solid and mechanical feeling, but the clutch is really light, and I would prefer something heavier that gives you more communication and feedback. This just doesn't have any feel whatsoever. You just put your foot down, even if you're not pressing that hard, and boom, the clutch is engaged. I'm not a fan of that at all. In typical Peugeot fashion, they've also managed to stuff up one of the most important things, the seating position. For instance, I'm about 6'2", which is, you know, it's tall, but it's not that tall. It's not like the tallest person in the world. And as much as I can sit quite far back, and if I put my hands in the steering wheel, my arms are almost extended, I've got no knee room. I mean, I have to be careful that not to let the steering wheel hit my knees when I'm driving, and it's even more difficult when you have to put your foot on the clutch. And then I can't put the seat down any further because that's as far down as I go, and I can't put the steering wheel up any further because that's as far up as it goes. So, for reasonably tall people, they're going to have problems trying to fit in this car. I mean, you just can't help but think to yourself that Peugeot designed this car for people with short legs and long arms. Fortunately though, there is lots more to like about the RCZ that makes you forget about all the negatives. Another thing I like about this car is that it's just very simple and there's no distractions. You know, there's no big touchscreen with some complicated infotainment system. There's no buttons on the steering wheel. There's no overcomplicated electronics. You know, everything's just about you and driving. Nothing else. However, don't for a moment think that the interior is as plain as a doctor's waiting room. You still get decent equipment such as power adjustable leather sports seats, a leather stitched dashboard that after 8 years is still well intact, single click automatic windows, front and rear parking sensors, Bluetooth connectivity, cruise control and a dual zone climate system. Compared to modern cars, it may seem rather minimalist. However, it has aged well and is more than suitable for its purpose. As a daily, all these features combine well to deliver a relatively comfortable driving experience. While the chassis may be on the stiffer side, especially over potholes and speed humps, it is still soft enough, and those who clock up lots of highway miles won't be caught by surprise. On top of this, the RCZ is more than practical than you think. The boot boasts 384 litres and is more than capable of storing larger items such as golf clubs. My suggestion though is to fold down the rear seats and use that for even more space, as nobody over 3 feet will fit. Peugeot unveiled the last RCZ in 2014 or so, and for the time being they don't plan to release a new model. And if you ask me, I think that's quite a shame, because I think this car has a big opportunity to shake up the competition, because it's quite honestly not that strong at the moment. I mean, let's have a think. The Audi TT, it looks like a Volkswagen Beetle that's had a midlife crisis. The BMW 2 Series looks too much like any other BMW. And the Mercedes CLA is just a cosmetic mess. You may go argue that the German rivals are a lot more groundbreaking in terms of technology, and yes, I would come to agree with you. But since when was a sports coupe meant to be the platform for groundbreaking technological innovations? It's not. A sports coupe should be all about the driving experience and sense of purity. And if that's not what you're after, then you shouldn't be looking for an RCZ in the first place. Go look at luxury sedans or SUVs. Peugeot has offerings there too. Peugeot for making some of the worst cars in history that appeals to people who failed a driving test 25 times before they actually pass. But we've also known them for making some of the best and paving way for other car manufacturers to endeavour. And I guess what I mean by that is that, to me, this car just defines everything that a sports coupe should be. And it all comes down to a few basic principles. Excellent on-road presence that has people turning their heads, a willing and happy to rev engine combined with an authentic, pleasing soundtrack, a planted chassis, sharp brakes, sharp steering, and a premium feel all throughout the car, ranging from the thud you get from closing those heavy coupe doors, the mechanical click from changing gears, and the quality of materials. Tell me another car that satisfies all of that criteria. I bet you can't.